Welcome to Unbiased and On the Fence. Thank you guys so much for joining. It's Jayne, and I've got Sherry, I've got Eileen, and I've got Ronnie.
Hi guys.
What is up, everybody?
Hey.
Let's start with Sherry. Sherry, it's already on you, so.
Well, I was trying to find my little mute button in case I have to cough later, and it's not on there. So y'all have to hear me cough. Okay, so
that's quite all right. So this is kind of a follow-up from our Ray Hernandez show that we had, right? Oh yeah, let's show that book that Eileen has there.
Jayne got a copy, Dustin got a copy, or it's on his list.
Beyond UFOs, the signs of consciousness and contact with non-human intelligence.
800
Volume 1.
800 pages.
A doorstep of a
400.
book. Okay, so you're going to bring it with you, though, out to ECETI, right?
Yeah.
As long as they don't charge you a whole extra fare for that.
Yeah, I'll need a bag for it.
I have its own seat.
Okay, so I wanted to start this right off, and I don't know if everybody got to see it. Let me share the screen. I was going to show some video footage I captured.
That was amazing that you just captured it in time for the show that we've been planning for a month.
Yeah, absolutely. And then it ties in with some of what Jayne, one of our viewers.
Yeah, I've seen video of hers as well. It's like a capsule, like a pill. And I've actually seen the black balls that you're going to show. I've seen them over Florida.
So this is them there. There's no sound to worry about talking over, so.
Look at the shape.
It is so cool. And I have seen that on, I think it was on Secure Team, that there's other videos like that with the transforming kind of shapes.
Oh, yeah, kind of morphing into, yeah, and I was like, man, why is it, I was wondering if it was just odd shaped and it was tumbling or something. But
it's kind of staying there for you.
Yeah.
That's kind of an unusual thing. If you look up the black ball or balls, sometimes they're together with more than one.
Mm-hmm.
They don't usually stand still. They're usually zipping around, and they look like birds circling. And we were in the pool about a year ago, and my daughter and I and a nice old lady, 3 people in the pool were watching these little black balls circle each other above the pool. And we thought, man, they're so high, they're going to get run over by an airplane. They shouldn't be flying that high. And then we're like, is there oxygen up there for these birds to breathe? And then they zipped down, and they were balls, and then they zipped off to like Miami. And we're like, whoa, what was that? Like, 1,000 miles an hour? They were just gone. So they were kind of playing with us. They were like, come on, woohoo, can you see us?
Right, yeah. Did you notice how it looks like it has a glow around it? Now I thought it might be a camera artifact, but Nicola was saying how, sometimes a camera can pick up.
I think that glow is energy. A lot of people accuse people of CGIing when they show that glow. They're like, oh, it must have been CGI'd, but I don't think so.
No, that's weird, though, that you said that, because I was sitting there thinking, I probably have thought that before, too, And here I have my own image. Now, the videos didn't look like that, but...
Oh, because it's from you. I totally trust it. You know what I mean? But I'm pretty trusting anyway. Some people call it gullible, but, I like to believe.
Now, remember, we got this from Michelle. Now, we talked about this a few times. We wanted to present it here because this is pretty wild stuff. Michelle from Toronto. Basically,
hi, Michelle.
What was the backstory on this? Is like the phone just took a picture. It's one of
those
those
times. It was like in her pocket going downstairs to the basement to get laundry. and then it flashed, and she's like, why is my camera flashing? And like, how when it's half hanging out of your pocket,
Right.
and it took this picture on its own, and then if you zoom in somewhere, there's like an alien face, right?
Right. It's right in this area right here. She actually did a good job at not only circling it, but
An arrow. Here it is.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, I can see that
Oh wow, yeah.
clear as day.
yeah. You can actually even see the pupils. Now, check it out. She did like one of those, automatic enhancement things, and this is what it did to it.
I
Oh
love the
wow.
eyeballs.
Yeah,
That is
look at
so
the.
cool. That's such a Whitley Strieber gray alien photo.
It almost looks like a hoodie with like the inside of the hood part is purple, maybe, or something.
It looks like he's got a mohawk. But
Oh yeah, it
and
does.
the
A little green
blue
mohawk.
is throat energy, right where his throat is. It's that
Yeah.
blue chakra.
Yeah,
That's
and we have a side
incredible.
by side there. She drew a picture,
Wow.
so that's pretty cool. But yeah, you can even see the little
The
irises
eyes.
and the teeth. I mean, I can see it like
That's
she's got it
amazing.
drawn there.
Now, my
That is
daughter
really
drew a
cool.
picture like that when she was 2. Have you guys had your kids just walk up and present you with a picture of a gray alien? I was like, holy moly.
No.
No.
No, that would be freaky though, I guess. Okay, now check this out. This is from Jayne. I've been meaning to get this out for a while, but check out how cool this blue orb is here.
Look at that color.
Wow.
Oh, did you see it
Slow
fly
it down
by?
and I enhance it here.
And
It's like
that's
it likes the music.
Look how blue that is. That's so amazing. I see them out of the corner of my eyes, but I never catch it in line of sight. Now we had this from Bikerbabe.
Hey,
She captured
Bikerbabe.
some stuff.
It's almost like that dog can see it.
Yeah, yeah. And I tried to slow down to pick it up or whatever, but let's see. Now, there was this one that, let me see. This one here, I don't know if you can see it going across there. I thought it was a fuzz off of the
Oh my
dog, maybe,
gosh.
but it looks like a little angel.
Yeah,
Even
it's
if
like
it is, it still
photonic
has a.
worm. Remember when we got a bunch of those in
See it?
the Stanley Hotel?
Yeah, see how it looks like it's flying around like wings soaring through the. I thought that was
Wow.
really cool. There's this other one here this one. It looks like it's swimming around, making decisions, slowing down, and
That is so cool.
Oh.
looks like it's
wow.
swimming around though, doesn't it? See how
It
it slows
does.
down and like almost decides which direction to go and then continues on?
Yeah,
And-
even the form, the way the form changes, it's like a jellyfish.
Yeah.
It's
And they seem to like animals. They like to like fly around dogs and cats.
I love that one.
That's
though.
very
That
cool.
GPK has some orbs too.
I just like that pause in it and then it looks like it takes off. It's really neat. Okay, so
It's
I had
super
some.
cool when they change direction, isn't it? Then
Yeah.
you know it's not dust. Dust does
Right.
not change directions.
Okay, so I had that video. Oh, I shouldn't have closed it up, but that's okay. Okay, so I didn't know if I don't know how fast moving these were for Jayne, but she managed to capture these.
Just like yours.
Yeah, see?
See how they look gray sometimes?
And yeah, in the light, you can actually
Mhm.
see it's reflecting some of the light over the top of it there.
Wow.
That's pretty neat.
Sometimes
And
they
there's
look
another one up
silver,
here.
sometimes black, sometimes gray. Oh, I
Now,
see
I
it.
thought this one was like the shape of that one you caught, but like I don't know if it's closer, but it looks square more than it does.
But maybe it's morphing from round to square to round again.
Well, here's the neat thing about it because she had two images. You can see it's in both of these. It's here, then it moves over to here in the next one. So I'm going to zoom in on it again, and you can still see it's kind of got that really boxy shape to it. It almost looks like it's got a dome on
A
it.
top on top. Yeah, yeah.
That's
So
neat.
we were saying
Yeah.
before we went on the show that we're not sure. We think they're alien, meaning not ours, but then the black triangles are pretty much everybody's certain they're ours, the
Yeah.
TR3Bs.
I think this is what we're looking at on this one. I thought it kind of blends in with the trees, but there's definitely something going on there. Let me back
Oh
it
yeah.
up.
Whose is that? Who sent that
This
one
is
in?
this is still Jayne's.
Oh,
Jayne.
cool.
Let's
Wow.
see. Yeah, and I've even got a video I want to show. This almost looks like a Jesus fish shape when you zoom in on it. See, it almost looks like it's curled.
Morphing.
And
And-
almost look shiny. too on that one.
Maybe, do you remember that one that I had where it disappeared and came
Yeah,
back?
Mhm.
Maybe it's in the middle of like disappearing and coming back, so different shapes show up.
right. That one almost has a glow around it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Now,
It's
I must
incredible.
say that the TR3Bs do have the opportunity to go invisible, and they use Tesla plasma so they can create shapes. But those look a lot smaller than the TR3Bs. Those triangles are pretty big, and these balls are pretty small.
I
Yeah, it's hard
agree.
to determine the size of them. If they're close or far. I don't know how our camera's zoomed in. Some of the ones on, and I'll get to that video in a second, but
Yeah, it's really hard to judge perspective when things are up in the sky.
yeah, it is. Now,
It's like
this
how
reminded
far up
me, Otsko had sent me a picture of a bird that almost, it had this glow about it, and it kind of had this, it was, I don't know, what do you guys think of that? That's pretty wild.
sometimes when you look at YouTube videos that look like that, they turn into silver balls. It depends on what point you catch them at when they're morphing.
Trying to see.
So that could be a
Yeah,
silver ball moving.
yeah, because judging by the way the light's hitting this dish right here, the light is coming from this direction, and it looks like it's lit up on the side the light is on.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, definitely.
And it might have been going so fast that it made a little streak as it moved into a
Right.
pill shape, but it's only a circle.
There's another one right by that.
Now, Project Blue Beam.
I was just gonna say that, but I didn't want to say it.
Yeah. So basically, one of the theories is if you follow Stephen Greer and a few of the other people, I bet you watch him, Sherry, Stephen Greer.
Yeah.
They say that the American government has back engineered most of the technology that they've captured over the years, and that they're testing it out on people to go, are people ready for full disclosure? Let's just pop some alien stuff over them and see how they react. But who knows, because we get no confirmation that they're actually doing that. So maybe this is alien stuff. And it's becoming more and more common. What do you guys think? More frequent?
That's that's it. You just don't know unless you watch something come out of the sky and aliens come out and they can't possibly be human.
And they wave at you.
Yeah. That's otherwise it's all it could be this, it could be that, which is why it's so hard. Somebody was arguing that where's the evidence? Where's the evidence? It's like, everything is subjective. What you see and what you capture on film, some of the best ones, people are like, well, it's faked. How do you prove anything anymore? You really can't. So they won't take personal experience as being reliable.
Right.
But we do. Our community thinks that the personal experience is more important than the government
Oh,
sanctioning
totally.
it. Yeah.
Like we were talking, like cutting the middleman out. We're just going directly to the people, and
It's what I'm just seeing over the last few days. I think it's all about what we experienced, everything.
well, we'll come back to our faces in
I
just a
agree.
second. I wanted to show this
Definitely.
last clip of Jayne's. Now she has like, I don't know, like probably 8 minutes of footage like this, but I found a spot where it's got the birds in it, and you can kind of observe these. I'm going to slow it down, but you can observe these sort of shiny, sparkly orb type things in here. I'll see if you guys can see it. I can slow it down. When you can see a few flying by there and there. Some of them just kind of phase in and out within a foot.
Sparkles.
Yeah.
I
There's
actually
one
have
right
an
by the
orb
sign.
video from Darby's room, and it has tons of orbs just flying around and all, but
There's some going right around there and across there.
that small blinky thing just like that in there.
So there's
Yeah,
a
where it's
lot
blinking.
of
Yeah.
footage like this from the people. And it can't be that we're all just awakening so we can see it now, because everybody's capturing it on videos, and videos can capture it.
Yeah, and look at the iridescence that you see in the clouds. You can see it really nice and clear there. It's like rainbows everywhere now. I don't know if you guys are noticing it too.
That could be from the clouds, which could be from the chemtrails.
We don't know what those are around these parts.
But they could be protecting us, with higher UVs and higher cosmic radiation coming through. That nanoparticle could be protecting all life on the planet. So
you never know.
Yeah, exactly.
I don't think it's anything to worry about.
No, I'm not going to worry about it.
I don't choose to worry about it, but I do wish that they would stop treating the public like we're a bunch of children. That's if they know something, just say it. If they don't know something, then say, well, we really don't know. But then who would believe them anyway? So
we've passed believing them. No matter what they say, we don't believe them because they've kept so much truth. They've been proven to hide so much truth that it's like, I'd rather hear it from you guys than hear it from the mainstream media.
But did you see some of the videos you see of the way people respond are, I think they're really comical, but, it makes me wonder if, the general population is ready. There was this one where the guy was like, I don't know, it was one of those ones where the orbs look like they're spreading apart, or breaking into more, and the guys are like, look at this, they're multiplying and they're going to come get us. And, did you see that one?
Yeah, a bunch of lights, like the lights just spread out and there's more of them.
It was like, so funny.
Oh my God. Oh my God. It's aliens. It's aliens. They're multiplying. That was the funniest video capture ever.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. I don't know. Was he trying to be funny? Or?
I don't think so. I think it was funny in a loving way.
Right.
He was so shocked by what he was seeing. But I'm used to you guys, so I feel like the whole world is ready for this. But my community is quite specific.
Oh,
yeah. That's true too.
Seems like you have a great family to be in this position, Eileen. Like even your parents were really supportive of all your gifts and all that.
Weird sister, not so strange daughter, not so strange husband, but I was surrounded by people who thought it was normal to see auras, believe in aliens, UFOs, see ghosts. Were you raised that way, Sherry? Were you?
I was raised in. We just had a lot of paranormal things, so I was raised with the ghost thing, not really the others, And a little bit.
Was it okay? Was your mom and dad? Were they like, "Oh, it's okay, don't worry about it. It's just Uncle Charlie."
Yeah, exactly. Yep.
So, what about you, Ronnie?
No, my parents were very stoic and not really exploratory. So, my sister and I delved into things on our own, and my parents kind of just let us do our thing, hoping we'd just outgrow whatever. Whatever they're doing, we don't know, but just leave them alone. They'll grow out of it. Yeah.
And you, Shane, you were raised very Pentecostal, traditional, and you use that to kind of, your spirituality is very Christ consciousness, which is lovely. So it's still a part of you.
Oh yeah, it's a huge part of me. Yeah.
But
I feel like I just gained a better understanding of where I should have been the whole time,
I think you've just expanded it, basically. You've taken what you learned and then expanded it.
But for me, it would have been an angel or a demon. Any kind of anything. That's your angels. That's demons, one or the other.
Well, Carl Sagan, you guys are all younger than me, except Ronnie, you're close to my age, I think, closer. I only say that because you told me how old you are, so I know that we're in the same ballpark growing up.
Yeah.
Do you remember Carl Sagan in the 70s?
Oh, yeah.
And he told everybody there were 4 channels you could watch, and one of them was PBS.
Yes.
And he was on Cosmos on PBS, and he told everybody, there are aliens. There's no way that humans are the only life in the galaxy or the universe. That was 74?
Yeah. Well, we also had I want to call it Ancient Aliens, but it was the show. You know, there was the one with Spock, who
I
from
watched that
Star Trek.
series.
Yeah, and
They made
so
it really scary though. Remember? It was like do do do
yeah,
do 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 do.
yeah. So we had that introduction even in our very closed little media
Like 4 channels.
opportunities. Yeah.
I'm glad you mentioned Ancient
So,
Aliens, which is like on season 13 or something. It has changed everything because so many kids have grown up watching Ancient Aliens. They assume that that's a history show.
I still love that show. I can't help it. I just
Me
love
too.
it. I learn a lot from
I
it.
don't watch it like I used to, but I love that show. That's where I first came across David Wilcock. Was
Me
Ancient
too.
Aliens.
Yeah.
He was young and skinny. Do you remember?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like a kid with blonde hair.
I'm like, oh, this is the guy for that one show I like, you know.
I'm like, he's so smart. We're talking about Sherry's boyfriend here.
Mhm.
Mhm.
You're gonna cut down my man's looks, huh? He's morphing into an alien.
I think I am. We were talking about physical changes, and I swear my face is changing hugely. It's like I feel, I look in the mirror, it's like, you know, my ears are, I know you change as you age, and I think that's probably what it is. But I'm like, oh my God, my ears are getting big and my nose is getting bigger. What's going on with my face?
Maybe your sight is changing and you're seeing yourself differently, like you never paid attention before. The only thing for sure that's changed on me is my eyes went from sky blue to sea green.
Wow.
Yeah, so my eyes are definitely green now, and that happened since my awakening, my Mandela effect awakening.
Oh, that's so cool.
And I have the limbo rings. You too, Sherry. I can see them. Little like black rings around your eyes. And even brown eyes can have those rings.
Yeah.
Oh, I've got the ring, the blue.
Yeah.
Like a dark blue ring, yeah.
Shane,
but I
you
always
have it too?
did.
Yeah, I think so.
I always did have that.
Oh, see, I didn't. That's new for me. That's like within the last 3 years.
I actually had lots of people tell me lately, like, I was working with this man, Greg. He won the lottery, so he hadn't been at work for a long time, but you know, when he came in, and he's older, and he's like, I walk in and I like knock on the glass, and I'm like, hey, and all that, and he comes to the door to tell me something in my office, and then he goes, oh my God, that's you. You look like a totally different person. I've had like 3 people tell me that in the last couple of months, and
I think you look younger than I remember when you first started doing your own videos and videos with way before you and Shane. I think you look younger.
Well, good.
Not that you were old looking before.
Nothing wrong with that.
Shane's changed. You look, when I see your early videos compared to now, oh my God.
I was
you
way
look
more
so
stressed
much
out.
happier and healthier.
Oh, I am. Yeah, I feel. Yeah, it's incredible. I've actually wanted to go take them down, but it's such a huge difference that I leave them up there. You know, even though they're kind of embarrassing, but
they're not embarrassing. They're just different.
some of my first ones. Well, I know I like my first Mandela effect one. You know, it's so funny. People was like, "Man, you need to stop smoking crack," and like, because I was like really freaking out about it. But yeah, it's funny though. I just laugh about it.
Well,
After
I will
banning
bring
them, of course.
something up now that I'm on page 400. Okay, so Sherry and Ronnie and I, and somebody named Mandy on another channel's chat, and Shane's friend Diane.
Yeah, she was going to join us. I want to say shout out to Diane.
Hey, Diane, we're all in this book because it was made available online and anonymous. You only had to give them an email address, which isn't really anonymous, right? But it felt anonymous. You don't have to give your name, address, phone number, age, nothing like that. And then you could answer surveys for these scientists with the Edgar Mitchell Foundation. He's dead now. The third
Astronaut.
person to walk on the moon, I think. Came back profoundly spiritually changed, and he started this free research institute. It stands for the Foundation for Research into Extraterrestrial and Extraordinary Experiences. And out of 400 pages, I can only find 2 people talking about a secret space war. It's completely different to the mainstream popular alien information, which is the good guys and the bad guys are fighting over Earth, and the good guys are winning, and the bad guys are the reptilians and the grays. And in this book, people say the reptilians are also nice and the grays are nice. Did you guys notice that? I don't know if you got to read any of the
No, I haven't
summaries.
read yet.
I think that, I don't know, I've always thought this though, that like everything, like people or grays or reptilians or whatever, everybody is just like entities, and like there's going to be good ones or bad ones in every group. But I have a confession to make really quick. I'm not in the book because I started doing the survey and I got really mad during it because it didn't ask me the right questions and I quit.
That's
All right,
okay.
move on.
But you were in the survey because you were taking it. You just didn't submit it, right?
No, I submitted, I think 2 of them.
Along with some complaints.
No, I
I'm just
didn't.
playing. I'm just
I
messing
didn't
with you.
complain till I talked to Ray anonymously later, but I don't think he knows that's me. I don't know if he knows that was me or not.
He does now.
Tell us
That
what
was
the
her, Ray.
complaints were.
Well, my complaint was it would ask stuff like, you know, like, have you experienced like, and I don't remember. Anyway, it was that I was talking about like my Michael Jackson experience, and it didn't have that for an answer. It just had like,
Yes,
you know,
they were.
alien or what, you know?
Multiple choice. They were very limited multiple
But
choice.
that was early
Yes.
on, right? Didn't he say the later ones got more specific and left more spaces for you guys to fill stuff out? Sorry.
Wasn't that you, Ronnie? Didn't you
Yes.
get to finish out like essays?
Yeah. The third one, you actually wrote out descriptions of what happened. But it was very hard to take because I was like, well, I don't know what category I fit into. You know, I don't know what label is appropriate for what experience, because it did include like, you know, the kind of mental download experiences, as, you know, where you don't have a physical contact, but you think that, you know, you got information that just came from nowhere. And it, you know, so it was like, okay, well, I think that's this. And there were times I was filling it out and I was like, oh, they meant something different. And so it was very hard
Limited.
to take. Yeah, it was very hard survey to complete. And it assumed that you had pre-existing knowledge of their terminology, which I didn't. When I went into it, I had very, very limited exposure. So I found it really, really confusing, and I would think that I was filling out, you know, about one experience. It was like, no, okay, now I have to go back and delete all of that, and
Yes.
you know, go forward, and this is where it should have been, and that experience should have been over here. So,
well, at the end of the day, they lumped together all paranormal communication into one experience, whether it's a ghost or an orb, an NDE, an OBE, an alien abduction. They're saying this is all one experience of a human consciousness communicating with a non-human consciousness. And I'm still adapting to that. Do you guys all feel like comfortable with that?
I do. I've always felt that way. In fact, I felt bad because whenever we were on that show, something had came up about like your experience being physical. And then I had said something that like, you know, that maybe it was out of body because it feels so real. And I was afraid that I didn't want you to think that I had like it like came out wrong. And I was like, oh no. Cause I mean, I am open-minded. I do believe that could happen, you know? And I was like, I didn't want her to think that I was saying that, but my experience out of body is more physical than reality.
Gotcha.
Wow.
Now, 49% of the people in the book said that they had a physical experience, and 51% said it was just mental.
And what do you think is the most likely to happen? Some of the people that really had a physical thought it was just a consciousness experience, or vice versa, do you think?
Well, we could say that, but then 40% came back with marks on their bodies. And marks on your bodies are physical.
Right. So we can say there might be a 9% margin of error then where it felt very real to these people, but maybe they really weren't taken. Maybe it was.
Well, like,
maybe they are in a minority then. And maybe it does.
I don't know. There's too many people who report eggs and semen being taken, and the same kind of physical operation on a table. And that's
Right.
only 25% of these respondents. That's very low. I thought that would be much higher.
Yeah, me too. I would have thought that too. But the marks
Unless
is
the
pretty high.
unless the astral and emotional bodies have more parts than just the, I don't know what I'm trying to say. Maybe they still could take eggs and semen from your astral body. Who knows? I don't know. It's interesting.
Yeah,
Anyway.
I mean,
Yeah,
but
maybe
we
the
exist.
DNA code is there or something, but they don't really need the DNA. They just need the signature of it or something. That's totally possible, you know.
I
Do you
will
have
say
a
this.
picture of that triangle? Because I was watching Hanger One last night, and a teenager on there got the same triangle that I got. And it was either burned or scooped. It was either from a laser or a scoop, but it was a perfect triangle. And mine was a year ago. I was feeling like, gosh, I've had very little contact physically since I went through menopause. And I'm like, wow, you guys are just after, semen and eggs. You don't really care about humans, do you? And I said, if you're still around, can I please have a sign if you can hear me and you're communicating with me and you're there? And this is after lifelong contact, and my sister and my mom and our kids, it's generational. And I woke up with that triangle
And
on my
it was
wrist.
like this one here this is a screenshot from the movie, right? Or the
Yeah,
show.
this is from Hanger One. And then
Okay.
I sent you my triangle as well. And they said this girl, Laura, in Maine in 1981, was on a farm, and she witnessed a saucer come down and create a crop circle. And the next day, her parents were really mad that it happened because they were like embarrassed that people would make fun of them. So her dad went out and mowed it down.
Aw.
Then the parents went away and she stayed home because she was mad that they got rid of the crop circle. I don't blame her. It'd be interesting to show your friends, right? And Men in Black.
Okay, here's the one on
typical
your arm. I found it.
two Men in Black came out to examine where the crop circle was the day before. And then she had missing time with the Men in Black. And when she woke up, she had the triangle on her hand.
It's wild stuff.
Say real quick, Eileen, just for interest, and not that I'm even debating, but in Robert Wagner's lucid dreaming book, there's a guy that was a story. He was like spending some time with a woman in the astral, and he told her that, well, you're just a dream character or whatever. And she was like, really, is that what you think of me? And she burned him with her cigarette, and he had a scar. He has a scar from it, and he had a burn the next morning. So I'm just saying, it's interesting. That's all.
It is interesting
Yeah.
to know where our physicality, like maybe this isn't here right now. Maybe all of this physicality is a mirage and we're 100% energetic.
Exactly. Just like
Yeah.
when you look at a video game and they look like very real characters walking around, but really they're just electrons in a screen. You know what I mean?
That's what Brashar
Well,
was
we are.
saying in
We're
the
just
video.
electrons.
And we're like, our consciousness presents the screen of, reality.
I
in
don't
our mind.
mind the physicality of it, because if there are planets and if the planets have life and animals, then there is a need for DNA, for silica and carbon. Carbon 12 is the most common element in our physical bodies. Then that would mean that other life forms in the area could come and study your DNA versus their DNA versus a planet over there's DNA. So I kind of see, I don't mind a physical world because that's what we've been raised in with animals and, birds and fish. And, we've been raised to think it's only physical.
Right.
But if it's a hologram, then how true is the physicality?
Exactly. Never mind all the unseen parts that we just miss or whatever. But I did want to back up really fast and point out the fact that it was difficult for people that were really experiencing it to complete the, all the different I mean, it took time to do it. I mean, he talked about how it was kind of a really detailed thing. It took a lot of time, and I don't think a lot of hoaxers would spend the time to do that. So I really trust the numbers.
Yeah.
You know, I really
It
do.
was. It was
But
way too long and involved for somebody to be able to stick with it and pay attention
Just
to it
to,
for that long.
just right.
Yeah.
but he started
Just,
out with 5,000, just under 4,300 or 4,400, and then they picked 2,200 for part 2, and then they picked 1,200 for part 3. So I only did the first part. How about you, Sherry? Did you just turn in the first really long multiple choice, or did you ever get to part 2 and
I
part
did
3?
1 and 2, and they sent me 3, but I didn't do it because I was mad.
oh,
Interesting. I don't blame you. If it's not like relating to your experience, how can you answer the questions?
They
Yeah.
should have had it left open more, I guess, like,
Well,
or
even
other, you
he
know,
was
have some.
saying he had other on there when I like confronted him about it, but I would have put other if it had other.
well, I think it would have been better if they had formatted it differently instead of trying to break into categories immediately. They should have just said, "Tell us your stories." But the interesting thing was that actually made me see the way they'd split it up. It made me see that there were more possibilities in my own experiences, that
Hmm.
what I thought was just, something that happened, that there was a supernatural element to it
Hmm.
that could be included in this. So it kind of pulled, I think of it like this thread that's run throughout my life, but I didn't see it until they pointed to it. And it was like, wow, this thing led to this thing, and then that happened, and that happened, and that happened. And then I had this big event. So, yeah, it's like, okay, these are all different things that all went in that same line. So,
Okay, so it helped you make
yeah.
connections by seeing that they had already connected these different areas
Yes.
of stuff. And then it made you consider things that maybe you hadn't even considered before by some of the questions.
Yes,
So that sounds
exactly.
awesome then. That sounds like a pretty cool experience of
Yeah, it
The
really
book
was.
the book says that coincidentally these experiencers also see ghosts, also go out of body, also see orbs or had NDEs. They don't know what came first, the chicken or the egg, but for some reason the experiencers tend to have these other paranormal experiences like what you're talking about, Cherry, as well, that you didn't feel it
it's
was
just like they're
fitting in.
just more dialed in, you know? That's what it seems like. And if you're dialed in and you're going to notice this, you're probably going to notice this. That's what it sounds like to me.
I
Just
did notice a bias in here, and that's when Ray was on talking to you guys. He was saying it's 95% in your head and only 5% physical. But then he goes on, because it's in the book, to say the way I was introduced to contact was my wife came and got me out of bed and said there's an angel in the living room healing our dog because her dog was dying.
Oh,
And then he went downstairs and poof, they disappeared with the angel. They were physically taken. And instead of like panicking and running outside to look for them, he's like, oh, I'm just going to go back to bed. It's that programming of that a lot of our loved ones just go, oh, that's normal, and go back to sleep. And he kept saying 95% mental and 5% physical. And yet the respondents in the book say 49% was physical with marks on their bodies, and 51% said consciousness only. So I think people are still afraid of being physical with this. I think they're afraid of being taken, basically. They'd prefer to think, oh, it was just all in my head, you know?
well, what if they don't remember? That's like, I had the experience when I was 2 years old, and I don't remember. And the experience I had, back in 2006, I know that something happened, but then I was like out. I don't remember if there was lost time. I couldn't see a clock, but if somebody had taken me somewhere, I wouldn't remember it. I have no recollection of it. So there's also that memory part. So really, you can't rule out that they don't have something physical happen just because they don't recall.
Remember.
Yeah.
You know what I
So-
find is strange is that they didn't leave a spot in there for. I mean, nobody was unsure of which way it was. Seems like
That would have been a good one. It's because you had to choose. That's why you're pointing out what Sherry was saying. You had to choose whether it was mental or physical instead of
I'm sure it would have been a large, probably at least 20% that would have been on the fence about it. To be honest.
Well,
with
my
you.
sister and I were dropped in different parts of a forest
Right.
and had to
right.
find our way to a car in the middle of nowhere. So that was definitely physical. And I've also woken up after an experience with grass and mud in the bed. And you're like,
Right.
okay, where was I walking last night?
Right, totally. Yeah, that's good evidence.
Do
Yeah,
you-
but I mean, if you kind of remember being in your bed, something happening, then you ended up in your bed again, how would you know
Yeah.
for sure it wasn't just the consciousness or physical or whatever? I mean, you'd have to wonder. It could be one or the other, it just seems like to me.
I think I got booted out because I went on the physical side. Because he said, oh, all those books about the breeding program, don't believe it. And it's called DNA sampling. And like a lot of people in the book talk about DNA sampling. So I feel like I didn't fit their criteria. So I got to do the first part, but I wasn't invited back to do the second and the third part.
Interesting.
Because mine
Yeah.
was all physical from the age of 5. I landed in a field down a street a block away from my house at the age of 5. I've had people in London hear the sonic boom as I'm being returned to my bedroom, and everything falls out of the fridge and the freezer. And the next morning, all our food is just a puddle of wet food on the floor because the boom was so loud. So mine's always been physical, but so is my sister's and my family's.
Even the cut on your leg at a very young age, right?
Yeah, at 5, I had two incision marks on the
Right.
inside of my thigh, and so my parents took me to the doctor. And they're like, she keeps saying it was from a bunny rabbit. It was a bunny rabbit, but she was
Right.
gone. We couldn't find her. That's when I was dropped off in a nearby field. It wasn't that far. It was only 4 houses away from my house, but it wasn't my backyard. So I was taken from my backyard and left in a little field near my house. So if you have those pictures, though, do you have the pictures of the triangles?
I did show them while you were talking.
Okay, because the one on the ankle, I woke up with in 2014, and it was just like, I can't describe, the skin on the ankle turned white, and you couldn't scrape it off with a loofah or your fingernails. It just had to wear off, and at no time is there ever any pain. Never suffering, no pain.
I think this is your arm, isn't it? The one I have here.
The one with the cut, which is like a scoop mark or a burn.
It's a triangle?
Yeah, that was like the girls shown on the season 2.
Okay, that's...
Episode
Okay, so the
3,
fainter
Men in
one is
Black.
the one on the arm? The one that looks fainter?
Yeah, the one that looks like white, that's on an ankle.
Okay, no, I don't have one that looks white. I've got... Yeah, you just sent these 2 here.
That's so
Here, let me
interesting.
share the screen so you can see here. Share screen. Okay, this one
Yeah.
and this one.
What's really weird is it didn't hurt. It didn't get infected. It didn't feel like a burn. Do you know what it feels like when you burn yourself? It like really, you feel
Right.
it for a
Very
couple of
painful.
days. Yeah,
That looks painful. It looks like it
No.
was so raw.
not painful at
Is
all.
this the
That's how
same
it
exact
feels.
one after it healed a
Yeah.
little bit, or?
Yeah.
It's a perfect triangle, though.
Like
Yeah.
that girl's on Hanger 1 from 2015.
Right.
I just
Yeah, I
think a
just
lot
showed
of
that one too.
TV
I'll have
and
to dig that
movies
one up
shows
again.
reality, though. You know.
Let me see if I can find it again.
But you're right, Sherry. In a holographic reality or a simulation or a multiverse, how real is physicality anyway?
Mm-hmm.
You know, it all blends. It gets blurred. The lines get blurred.
So interesting.
Okay, yeah, this is the other one.
That's
This
the
is the
girl.
one from the show.
Yeah.
Right? But it looks.
I mean, it's identical. It's even
It
the same
is.
size.
It
And why
almost
did that
looks-
show up 2 days ago in time for this show? I've never seen a triangle on someone.
Wow.
What were you going to say, Ronnie?
I was gonna crack a joke. It kind of looks like you got branded with a NASA logo or something.
It does.
Well, this one's from the show, but it looks just like the one,
It's from
even
the
the same
show.
size. Even the same size. It's amazing.
That's insane. It's on the same size. It's the same shape. Mine looked like hers after 2 weeks. So I just showed you the first one on the first day and then the last one. But in the middle, it looked like hers, just glossy.
Right.
A lot of those shows, though, now they really have like a lot of reality, just like Star Trek did, you know.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah. Did you read that Gene Roddenberry like knew somebody in Majestic 12 really well? So they were feeding him information for Star Trek.
I believe it. Yeah,
Like the
totally.
phones, the flip phones, and the experiments from the Manhattan Project, where
Yeah.
people supposedly went into the boat
Yeah.
because they were
Yeah.
trying to teleport them.
That was probably the most freaky movie I ever saw.
Oh, there was a movie for it?
Oh, what was it called? Philadelphia Experiment? Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
it was a movie.
I've
They-
seen a documentary, but
Yeah, it
I
was
need to watch the
it was
movie.
an entertainment style movie they did, and it was pretty creepy. It was, very old style. If you go back and watch it now, it's like, oh, look at these attempts at
special effects.
doing
and
special effects. Yeah,
stuff.
it's a little bit funny, but the premise of it that people really might have experienced that was, yeah, that creeped me out. Yeah.
Funny how they stopped. They're no longer experimenting with that, or you know what I mean? They test things out and then they're like backing away from it.
Do they stop though? We don't know that they stopped.
Yeah, we don't
Maybe
know.
they just got better at it.
That's possible too. You worked on a space station, the ISS. So do you remember
Yeah.
when those microscopic shrimp turned up on the outside of the station?
No.
And
No,
they
I
said
don't
there's
remember
life
that.
in space, and they're going, this must have come from a comet's tail. And they were like little tiny shrimp. And then they finally explained it away, saying they escaped the Earth's atmosphere.
No way. I don't remember this at all. Maybe that's when I was working third shift and I was a zombie. I don't know.
Sometimes it seems like stuff leaks out, and then their cover-ups are horrible. It's like, really?
Yeah.
So not believable.
I know people accuse NASA of so much nefarious stuff, but to pull it off would be so much more difficult than they could manage. They're a very big organization, a very diverse and just part of the population. I was
Oh, yeah.
just somebody who got hired and was working. I didn't work directly for NASA. I worked for a subcontractor, and most of the work that gets done is outside contractors. So
Really
you know.
compartmentalized, huh?
no, I mean, we worked with the people from, what's that place out in California?
Lockheed Martin or
Well, no,
jet,
that was
jet propulsion.
JPL. Yeah,
JPL,
we had a lot of our experiments and the things came from JPL, so we would work with those people. They were a little bit standoffish, a little bit snobby.
Mhm.
No offense to anybody, but lose the attitude. Really, that's yeah. They were different.
Different colored
But-
jumpsuits, huh?
No, we all wore the same ones. They just
okay.
whatever got out of the laundry. They just brought stacks of things. You'd wear your bunny suit. But I had a really strange experience because I had a dream that showed me my career at NASA or working out at the Space Center. I dreamed that I was running from something bad happening. And I was in the building where I worked, and I went into like a hole in the wall, which there were holes all over the place. They had the wiring and cabling was run through conduits that you could walk through. So I went into one, and I came out in a new place that I didn't recognize, and I was still running. So I was in like this stairway, and it was different, and there was all this different machinery and stuff. And I came out again, and I was on an arm that went out to the shuttle. And while I was working there, I was working on the space station in one building. And we had, there was 9/11, and then we got, the Columbia happened after that, and I got loaned to Delta Rockets. And I was at work there, and I was like, this is the place I dreamed about. It was the second place in my dream. I was like, holy crap, that's crazy.
Oh,
And
wow.
then a few years later, like a year later after that, they were going to be having layoffs. So I started looking for another job, and I got hired in over on the shuttle. They were different companies and different contracts. So I got hired in, and I was working on the shuttle. And that was the last part of my dream. And that's where my career working with the Space Center ended. So it showed me the 3 different jobs that I would have out there, and that would be the end of that career. And it was really interesting because I loved it. I loved working out there. But at the end, I was ready to go. It was like, I'm tired of working on machines. I want something
What
different.
did you do for the shuttle? Did you work on pieces of it or part of it?
Yeah. On the shuttle, I worked in, my field was electrical work. And, but you worked on anything, you worked the fluid systems, you worked
That
which
is
is,
so cool.
Yeah.
it was a great experience. And I wouldn't go back and change it for the world. I loved it.
Scary because there's like people on there. You're like, oh my God, your work is so important.
Yeah, well, that's the people who work in that field are, they pay well because they pay you to follow the rules. So, that was a very big thing, was that you had everything that you did was documented. You didn't just go, oh, well, look, there's a broken wire, I need to fix it. No, you reported the broken wire. It had to be documented. They had to know about it. So it was very, yeah. But then, so many other jobs have people's
Oh yeah,
lives depend on you.
air traffic controllers and
The
stuff like
guy who
that.
works on your car and puts your tires.
Ambulance. Oh
Yeah,
yeah, your mechanic.
yeah. Somebody's life depends on what you're doing. So to me, it's, a responsibility. But it was also a whole lot of fun. I loved it. It was cool.
I think, when you said about people saying stuff about NASA, what is it called? Never a straight answer.
Yeah.
I think they're talking more about the government going, aliens aren't real, UFOs aren't real, deny, 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 and then now go, oh, actually, they are real, and we're calling them UAPs, but UAPs are real, but not aliens. So now they're saying that the ships exist,
Yeah.
but there's nothing in them. There's no life in them.
Yeah. Well, that could be. We don't know. That's the alien that I think that I saw. Well, I know the thing that I saw that I think was maybe an alien was actually, I sent Shane a picture, and it's the one that I showed on your show the other night. This was a being that, according to the article, appeared in like either 1967 or 1974. There's conflicting report that this was on Linda Moulton House Earth Files. And that article is in the archives. You actually have to pay to be able to access the archives. So I paid it so I could get that picture. And they said it was a cloned being, not so it they didn't consider it like us, just a person with a soul.
Isn't that
I
what
guess
they call the little grays? Don't they call them like cloned as well?
Yeah, so they're more like they consider them more like biological machines instead of people. But
And I've got a
if you're
picture pulled up
cloned-
here.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay, great. I can't see it, but good. Yeah, so that picture, I saw it after my experience, and it just blew my mind. I was like, that's it. That's the being that was in my
Wasn't
house.
it 5 feet, did you say?
Whoops.
Was it 5 feet
No,
with a
I
big
couldn't.
nose?
No, I couldn't tell how tall it was. All I ever saw was the face.
Oh yeah, we can see it.
Yeah, from the side. So like if you drew a line from his forehead down to his neck and put his ear behind it, that's all I could see of the face. that was right, it was like right here in front of
Was
me.
it a friendly face or was it scary?
It wasn't scary, but I was not able to feel fear. My emotion of fear was like completely missing, inexplicably. But I don't think I would have been scared because I was so surprised by the big nose. I was like, it wasn't anything that I had expected. I was expecting to see, okay, am I going to see a demon? Am I going to see a ghost? Am I going to see, a little gray alien? And I couldn't see that any of those. It was this creature with a really huge nose, and I was like, what? What
Now, is
the
this the one that
heck?
you drew here?
Yeah, that was just from my memory. I tried to draw it for your show because I didn't have my all my pictures that from that time are on my old computer, and I don't have access to it right now. So I tried to redraw it. So that is actually less accurate than the picture from the Earth Files show.
Okay. But that's
Yeah.
about how much of it you saw, though, I guess.
Yeah, that shows the portion that I could see.
How about you, Sherry? What did you see with your alien encounter? Did you see like features?
No, I didn't actually see an alien. I just saw, well,
You did with radar.
I saw one the other night, like just flash around the corner and then back, like just peek.
Like
But
peeked out in her hallway. Like,
it was like a small one, like 3 to 3.5 feet tall.
Yeah.
And he
we
was,
think it was radar from.
yeah, he had on clothes. So
Radar from every time you guys say that, I think of MASH.
Me
I think of
too.
radar and MASH. You too.
I actually read a lot of synchronicities leading up to it, and MASH was included in it. So I mean, like I was getting like messages with radar in it, like the song Radar Love and stuff like that, which is actually about telepathy, which is interesting. But
Yeah, and he's all about learning telepathy. And then
and-
remember the joke that you told it as a kid or something you said and it didn't have a punchline?
oh
You got
yeah,
glow stick
listen to
and-
this, Eileen. Whenever I was really young, I was like in middle school or something, someone told me a joke. And what they were doing was on purpose. They were telling a joke that wasn't like real to make me laugh and then make me be embarrassed. And this is what they said. There was two polar bears floating down the river on icebergs. And then the little one yelled to the big one, radar, radar, radar. And then they all start laughing. So I start laughing. And then they told me it wasn't even a joke. But because it embarrassed me, it stayed on my mind. And when all this stuff started coming up with radar, it was like he told me, I know, that it was so that it would be like an echo in the past. Like it was like proof.
Confirmation, yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Like confirmation later. Do you remember?
And that's
Yeah.
how that felt with the whole thinker statue thing when it happened. I'm like, all these synchronistic things happened for me to get it. I really didn't care that much about it. You know what I mean? It just happened to be what was there at the garage sale to pick from, sort of a, but it was like an echo of the past, sort of a confirmation or something to focus
Echo
on.
of the past.
I've been getting those a lot lately.
That
Yeah.
only means something to you guys, would not mean anything to anybody else who
No.
heard it, but it would mean something to you.
Right.
Yeah, I had one with that picture. If you can show that picture again, not the one I drew, the one from her website.
Yeah.
If you look at the being's ear, you're going to see a symbol on his, like an earring.
I've got to go back to the.
It looks
Yeah.
like an infinity sign, huh?
Yeah, that's my synchronicity symbol with my
There we go.
angel. Yeah, is an infinity symbol.
Oh yeah, it's like an earring.
Yeah.
So
and
that meant something to you.
I did not notice that until your show.
Really?
Yeah,
He looks
when I
like
was
somebody
looking
I
at it.
know.
Pardon?
He just looks like someone I know.
Looks very Egyptian there. I don't know. Maybe it's like the
It's the headdress.
forehead,
the
the headdress. Yeah.
Yeah, it really ties in. But notice the craft that they drew. This is a drawing that supposedly came from a photograph, and there was supposedly 3 of those crafts in the background.
Mm-hmm.
And that, if you look at that craft, now remember that I didn't see this picture until after my event. And when I was 2 years old, we were driving from New York down to Florida, and I sent you the picture of the
Yeah, let me
water
pull that up
tower.
here.
Yeah. So
One
I
second
saw,
here.
yeah, I saw a water tower in the distance, and I went apes. I was like, there, there it is, there it is, and
Ah, I can see it now.
yeah. The actually the one from Tampa
That
is
is an unusual
more,
shape for water.
yeah, the one from Tampa looks more like, yeah, that one. That
Wow.
looks like what I saw and what I associated with my angel. That this is my angel, this is my angel.
That's so
And
cool.
everybody in my family ignored me. I'm like jumping up and down on the seat. This was pre seatbelts in the back seat days.
You're right.
Yeah, jumping up and down, screaming, pointing at this thing, and my whole family was like they were on drugs, just focused on the road ahead of them. It was
Yeah.
crazy. Yeah,
Yeah, it was just like imagination.
yeah,
Imaginary friend she calls an angel.
That Avatar movie where they have those things like and then they have them like on SpongeBob in the water, but people been seeing them in space. You know what I'm talking about? They look like the round with the little legs, but they're like swimming or whatever. Do you know what I'm
Oh,
talking?
like the cleaning bubbles.
Oh,
A jellyfish?
yes. I'm sorry. That's what I'm talking about. Looks like a jellyfish.
Sorry, I'm not much help with my cleaning
Tell
bubbles.
us your alien
that's what
story,
I knew what you
Sherry,
meant.
because
Okay.
a lot of people listening tonight haven't heard it before. You told it ages ago on
Okay.
Shane.
Yeah. Your UFO story. Let's hear
Yeah.
that.
Okay, here's how it goes. So in 2014, I was in my pool. It was an above ground pool, and all of a sudden, come floating over my roof. It's like 4.5 by 5 foot diameter, opaque, kind of cream. It's cream colored, but it looks peach because it has fire burning in the center. It looked like a campfire without any wood, and everything was dead silent. And it floats down, and it comes right in front of my face, to where I was like one arm length from the edge of my pool. And if I'd went by the edge of my pool, I could have like touched it. And so
Wow.
it's sitting right there in front of my face, and I was just like, I couldn't take my eyes off it. I was not scared, but I was just like trying to
Captivated.
speak,
Yeah.
to holler for someone to come see it, and I wasn't really having any, noise come out. I was like, "Ugh." and but I still think I felt like it was like spiritual or whatever. I don't know, but anyway, so my daughter comes home. She's behind me, but I don't know it. Thank God. And I hear her say, "Mom, I'm right behind you," and I see it too. And I was like, "Oh, thank God that I have a witness," right? And her boyfriend was with her.
That's
And
great.
so then all of a sudden it just started floating up, and it goes like over to the top of our shed. This is like away from the house, on the other side. And it gets right above the shed, and then it shoots off up into the sky, and within like 1.5 seconds it blinked out. It was like an orange star, and it blinked out and it was gone. And so what was so funny about it is that later on we'd talk about it all the time because it was just so crazy. And one night Jeremy was like, why y'all are exaggerating, because it wasn't that big. He's like, it was like the size of a quarter, like in a tree line, and it was an orange dot. So was with there, and he experienced it, but he saw it different. His perception was different and stuff like that. But later on, I have to throw this in, is that I saw William Henry's Watcher Angels and Human Transformation, and I just really resonated with it, like to where it like made me cry. I think it's like I think it was a Merkabah. I think it was how some kind of entity like traveled and came and visited us. That's what I think. It was
How
like,
big was it in front of you? Do you
it was
remember? Can you
like
show
four
us?
and a half to 5 feet. And what's interesting,
That's
when that
big.
portal opened up on my bed with Michael Jackson, was the same size as the portal.
So it's not like the size of a spaceship, and it was more energetic and light than physical.
Yes.
Like,
well, it looked real. Like,
no, but it was more like light, real light, but not a physical metal.
right. Yeah.
Yeah.
It was more like an orb with a campfire in the middle, right?
Yeah. Well, someone kept telling me it sounded like a weather balloon, and I went and looked one up, and it looked just like that, except for there was like no ventilation and no lines in it anywhere, and it was more light coming from it. And I mean, I see
But the
why they would
size
do
for
that.
really the size for one person to fit, or one being to fit inside.
Right,
It's
like
a,
me and Darby were thinking about it. It's like if you sat Indian style on the floor, like with good posture, right where your heart is where the fire would be. And like
Wow.
and you would be completely,
stuff with
you
the
would
fire.
you would fit completely in the sphere, right,
Yep.
in Indian style position. So that does sound like a Merkaba then.
And then he has like William Henry has pictures of like old Christian art, and they have these little balls up in the sky, and there's like this little alien man driving it, like steering it.
Yeah, with the little points off of it, like it's shining.
I knew with all of my being when I saw that was what I saw. I knew.
Right.
I just know it.
And you
Yeah.
saw one. When my daughter was very young, we used to go to, I lived in England, we used to go to Greece. And there is a US Air Force base near Corfu, I guess.
Excuse me.
And we were sitting out on the beach at night, and there was like a playground, and the parents were inside having drinks and listening to a band while the kids were outside. And so I sat outside while my daughter swung at midnight, and or 10 o'clock at night. And then this thing flew over, and it was orange, Sherry, and it got brighter and brighter and brighter. I'm like, is that a helicopter with an orange light? And then it started spitting orange lights out of its butt that all fell. And then all the kids ran inside. And I was like, should we go inside too? And my daughter and I were like, yeah, let's go inside. We don't want to see what lands out of these orange lights on the beach.
They're multiplying.
That just reminds me of your story.
Yeah.
That's so cool.
Yeah, they were just lights falling to the ground, individual orange lights falling down, kind of like a weather balloon, but they were bright, very bright.
I just think those fireballs that people see, I think that's what we saw, but it was like up close. That's what I feel. But I don't know.
My daughter saw a fireball in Florida. They're quite common, but it was green and it was huge. It was like much bigger than a car, and flew straight over her car, and everybody else around her saw it too, because everybody, she said, were reacting to it, like putting their brakes on.
Oh, I had one. I was leaving for the Navy, and my boyfriend at the time, we were sitting in a car around the corner from where I lived. It was all woods, and we were actually behind my mom and dad's house, and something, a big green meteorite came down and landed. It looked like it landed in our property. I was like, what the hell? It was crazy. Yeah. So
now,
really
before
cool.
the big incident where my sister and I were both taken up in a mountain where we got lost at like 2:00 in the morning, there was like a fireball came down in front of us, and we thought it was a meteor. And the next thing we know, we're seeing a baby bear on the side of the road, and we're stopping to say hello to the baby bear. And then the next thing we know, like 2 hours go by, and we're being dropped off in different parts of the woods and walking towards the car. So sometimes that light that looks like a fireball is really them.
Interesting.
Yeah.
And you hear that's a common thing too, where you hear that they actually will show an animal or show an owl or just anything, and
Or a
just
wolf, or a bear.
it's like shape shifting into something that wouldn't be too crazy, or might even get you to stop to say, "Oh, look at the cute little whatever,"
Baby bear.
I think that's mental. I think that's a mental manipulation of reality that you're seeing.
Me too.
Yeah.
I think that with shape shifting too, like when you watch Fringe or one of these shows where they do something and it's like they're really changing their physical form, everything happens in the brain, so they don't need to change. They can just intercept that signal anywhere in between when it hits your brain and your visual
anything,
sensor.
right?
Yeah, I mean, if they know how to hack that signal.
People of Earth, did you see that show?
Yeah,
What is it
I love
called?
that show.
Ronnie
People of
saw
Earth.
it.
People of Earth. Yeah.
People of Earth.
He kept seeing elk, didn't he, or was it a deer?
A deer, a big deer. Yeah.
Like he'd be driving down a road and there'd be a deer sitting in his back seat talking to him.
Oh my gosh.
I sent you another picture now, Shane, with the ankle photo attached to it. If it's at the top of your email, if you want to show it, because it's really big. It's that big. It's huge, I think, for a mark.
Oh, it's bigger than okay, let's see.
And it's on an ankle. It's on an inside ankle on the same side of my body. 2014, maybe.
Oh, yeah, let me pull it
And I
up.
can't figure out what would make your skin do that. It just turned it white. Like it's obviously dead. The skin
One,
died.
one time I had a white triangle on my forehead, and everybody was saying something at work, and I had a patient that was actually a doctor, and she was saying it was like some kind of pigmentation thing, but it was a perfect triangle, and it
And then
said,
it went away.
yeah.
Yeah, because
Mine
that looks
lasted
like
2 weeks.
it looks like just dry skin or
Well,
something,
that's
or maybe a
cool
slight
looking.
Oh,
abrasion or
wow.
something.
It looks
It looks like dry
sparkly.
skin.
Trying to.
I
But
like that
you
one.
couldn't loofah it and you couldn't scrape it off with those loofahs. And what do you put on your feet? Pumice stone.
That almost looks like those laser cutters that can engrave, and they just put a slight burn into the material. That's what it looks like
It
almost.
didn't even hurt.
I
There's
think
like
it's
no
cool.
pain.
Wow.
It looks sparkly.
Yeah.
And it only lasted 2 weeks. And in 2 to 3 weeks, it just wore off.
Just like faded away. Huh?
Just faded away. The skin just fell off.
It's wild.
That's wild.
Yeah, that was really weird.
So what's with all the triangles? That's their signature mark, huh?
I'm wondering about triangles because triangles are so obvious. It's like, did you receive a message? Yes, I saw a triangle. It's like so obvious. You know, the Trinity, right?
That's
Yeah.
what I was gonna just say.
And pyramids, yeah.
Pyramid. And of course, I mean, unfortunately, the who are throwing triangles all over the place with A's. They're turning all the A's into triangles, right?
Right.
And pyramid.
Yeah. Exactly. Yeah, my son was just noticing. He said, "I think I might have found a Mandela effect with the Flash logo because he watched that show Flash." And I'm like, "Did the little bar going across there disappear?" I already knew what it was going to be,
Yeah.
because you start noticing that it keeps happening across the board. Coast to Coast AM, is that the one that you were pointing out, Sherry?
Hmm. Yeah, the A's turned into upside down. Wait, B's.
Yeah.
Seriously?
Yeah, the AM isn't, but the A in Coast to Coast.
That's a
Both
little
A's.
disappointing because that's supposed to be the, Illuminator
Well,
connections.
wait though. I mean, listen to this. Also, George Norrie used to like promote turmeric. He was like, on every show, he's like, get some turmeric for your cholesterol or your
Yeah.
Yeah,
whatever.
it's turmeric.
Well, then that
Yeah,
happened to
yeah.
be a very Mandela affected word. And what's interesting to me about turmeric and like Brussels sprouts is that those are not logos or product like brand names. These are like actual
Things.
Words.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're
So
plants.
the turmeric is really kind of a big deal. And it's just, to me, with it being on coast to coast like that, it made me feel like, it was being given to like a certain audience of people that were like open-minded. And I don't know. I just thought it was odd. It was just, I just noted it for interesting purposes.
Does he pronounce it differently now? Is he like turmeric now that it's changed?
Actually, I haven't. I thought about it and I was going to go back and look. I just hadn't really had time yet, but he really does like promote it all the time. He did it for years.
I like
Yeah.
him. I've always liked him.
Yeah, I like his manner.
Mhm.
But I think if you're really famous and you're in this genre, you're going to get a handler. The power
You might not even know.
is going to send you
Mhm.
somebody who's going to like feed you information.
Right. How many people have been picking up stuff on their ham radio, and they go to the government, "Hey, look, I'm picking this stuff up." "Well, what do you got there?" And they're like, "Well, this guy's been picking us up here. We need to make," and then they act like they're his friend because the guy's patriotic. He shares everything he gets, then he's getting something, and it's really coming from them anyway. You know what I
That's
mean?
what I
So,
think happened with the Monroe Institute. I think that, whenever like the military wanted to be interested in his stuff,
oh yeah,
he probably felt really honored and all that.
yeah, exactly.
I still think this book is like the best book on disclosure. This is disclosure. It's full of scientists. One of the guys who's I didn't know Ray co-founded the Noetic Institute with Edgar Mitchell. That's super cool. So he's been involved in this for decades. But one of them is from a Harvard space lab. So you got a bunch of big names here acknowledging that UFOs are real, alien, non-human intelligence is real,
Yeah.
and they are reaching out to us more than we are reaching out to them. And disclosure, this book says, is happening from the ground up. You know, it's not going to come from governments, and it's not going to come from the United Nations or from NASA. It's going to come from people who are being contacted. And that's what is so wonderful about this book, is that it means that they are contacting us, but they're contacting ordinary people.
Which is what everybody thinks should happen anyway.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Let me ask you
Yeah.
this. You know how he was saying all those like percentages and stuff? Like,
Yeah.
you know, okay. Is that what it is? Or does it actually have like people's stories in it?
Both. So the first 100 pages is
love that.
100% percentages, which I don't mind. I enjoyed it because I studied
Well, no,
psychology. and
I
that's
can
all.
watch it too. I could listen to it too, but 800 pages of it, you know,
No.
I was curious.
After 100 pages, it goes into paragraphs of stories. And then after 200 and 300 pages, it goes into pages of stories.
Oh, cool.
Yeah. So it's all in there. It's all in there. Otherwise, it get really boring and really dry. But there's a lot of statistics in here.
Now, see, you just gave him a little selling point for me.
Yeah, it's a great book. It is like the most important book about contact ever published.
It's the first study of its kind, really. I mean,
Yeah.
it's really groundbreaking stuff there.
Yeah.
You know, I'm surprised it took them that long to really do that. But of course, if you go too far out there and people aren't ready, you can put your whole career at risk, you know.
Well, it
I mean,
comes
these
back
people-
to the subjective experience problem. In science, that is like the lowest denominator of
Yeah.
what they'll accept as evidence of anything. They typically don't. Even in psychology, which psychology is your life is a subjective experience, and yet they discount it. They want measurable, repeatable science, you know. So
That's what always bothered me about it, was that they'd always on the TV shows go, a police officer saw this,
yeah,
a pilot saw this.
yes.
And I'm like, oh, but the housewife who saw it, she's crazy, so we're not going to count her testimony, or the student, the kid, or
Yeah.
the hairdresser.
I don't
Yeah.
know if anyone watches ghost shows, but it's so hilarious because the kid sees the ghost and then the mom sees it and she's, you know, trying to help the kid. That dad, every time he's all like, oh, that's nothing, it's your imagination. And I'm just like, pretty soon he's just gonna get the door slam on his foot or something. And then he's at the end, finally, he's all of a sudden a believer.
Yeah. Well, it's,
Yeah,
it's
like
the
a policeman saw this, so it must be true. And I'm like, he's a human being.
it's the trained observer thing, you know, that a pilot is trained to recognize different aircraft and that are in the air, so they would recognize something that's not normal. And
That's
a
a good
police
point, yeah.
officer is a trained observer of people and events, supposedly. You know, there's
Right.
actually no proof that they're any better observers than anybody else. But that's the presumption that they go with, yeah. So
No, Eileen, something you might be interested in is William Buhlman he did a study like that, like in over many different countries and everything. It was about experiences in consciousness. You know
Oh, I'd love
what
to
I'm
read
saying? It was like out of body stuff, lucid dreaming, and there was aliens and stuff involved in it because people were experiencing stuff like that. But it was pretty much about that. But he actually even had people that like went out of body that were pregnant and spoke to their child in the future, and the child even told them what they want to be named and things like that.
So if you just email me the name of the author, I'll try to get it on Amazon if it's still available.
Oh yeah, all his stuff is still available, but I think he still even takes stuff. Last time I think he was like I don't think it was as big. It was like 15,000 people. I think
Whoa.
is where he was at.
See, like I read PMH Atwater, which Cynthia Sue Larson mentioned on one of our shows on Saturday, our meditation show, The Power of Eight, because she interviewed 4,000 people who had a certified death, a near death, meaning they were resuscitated, right? So when you read about all the similarities that 4,000 people reported, it's kind of like in this book, you know, 4,500 people had a lot of similar experiences and they never shared them with each other. So it's the commonalities that give this credibility. You know what I mean? And I'd love to read that guy's book as well, because I never put OBEs, NDEs, ghosts together with aliens. To me, aliens are separate And all that other stuff was related. But aliens were like human beings out in space coming down and messing with you. You
See,
know?
I felt like
But
that
consciousness
too.
is a key component too.
Yeah.
I felt that like that too, but then that was the one time that I heard Dolores Cannon's voice was like it was like I was half asleep. And because I'd had a question about the aliens, and by using terms that I wouldn't have really said, she said that they didn't travel physically, that they like focused themselves into that realm or dimension. She used the words though that I didn't use, so it made me know it wasn't coming from my own head.
Yep. I
But
love the way Dolores Cannon
that was
kind
all
of got
good.
into aliens being interdimensional visitors.
Yeah. See that uh, connects with the denial of the physical, that it's too far a distance for them to travel. Well, if you take physicality out of it, mentally, your consciousness can go anywhere. You can see anything. You can, go back in time, forward in time, because your consciousness is not attached to this moment. So
And
Maybe
everything's
yeah,
attached to the consciousness. So literally, the past, the future, any other space is all connected within that consciousness. So
all over the universe,
yeah,
right?
yeah,
you're not limited.
There's no
So
distance. But then again, we've got definite alien craft being reverse engineered
yeah,
for sure. So
and then
maybe
people like you that have very
they came from another side of
yeah.
the universe, but they popped their physical craft here through, a wormhole or some mechanism.
well, that would explain why they're doing cloning, or biological entities instead of what they consider a born being.
Hmm.
If you didn't want to make a trip away from your home, you could send your, a physical representation some
Ah,
other
Like
way.
Avatar,
great.
Yeah,
where they have the DNA matches the craft, and he's really in this casket looking thing,
yeah,
while his avatar's running around, and he's experiencing this virtual reality type of thing, but it's
In
totally
a
realistic.
body somewhere.
He feels the senses on his,
yeah.
because this thing is matched to his DNA. I could totally see that, and I've heard craft being created like that too. Like there's no controls; they just get in it and they're like connected to it, sort of like an avatar when they got on those things and connected their
The
ponytails or whatever it was.
tails and the tails.
Yeah, exactly.
You know what I love about this book? Everybody talks nicely about Greys in here. I'm like, oh my God, you're kidding. I love Greys, and I'm the only person I know who does. Everybody else is like, ew, they're evil, they're robots, they're insects, they're ants. They kind of are like ant people. If you study the Hopi myths, there's a lot of similarities between the ant people and the Greys. And I'm like, no, they're really cute and they're kind of rubbery. And they're kind of like Gumby, little Gumbies running around with ant faces. And
The
I was like, yeah.
Mantis people are like that and look like that.
And there's more people in this book like that, so I don't feel so odd, because I'd always like tell my sister, we'd share stories, and I'd be like, try to hug one and see what they do, because their arms just go out straight. Like, what? Like, why is she doing that? Stop. Just like stories like that where I think they're kind of cute. I know they're harmless. I know they have a job to do. Mostly when you read the stories, mostly they do the collecting of people. They come down, they collect them, and then the people wake up somewhere, who knows where, and there's the tall ones are there. But for some reason, the tall ones aren't coming into the bedrooms to collect people. They only send these biological robots down.
Probably
Sometimes,
too many hit their head on the threshold going through.
sometimes it seems like they always have to like copy stuff like physically that's like not non-physical. I feel like
Yeah, like maybe the tall ones aren't physical, but they're there, but they're projecting themselves, like you guys were talking, Avatar. And maybe the physical ones are the little Greys that they send down to do the dirty work.
maybe so.
Yeah, like projections, like Obi-Wan Kenobi would do, where he'd have this hologram projection. Maybe they're so far advanced with that, it just looks realistic.
Well, it also ties in with the telepathy thing that,
Yep.
I believe that humans have telepathy. I think that it is pretty much suppressed and probably was killed. I think that a lot of the purges of civilization and specific people have been to wipe out different
Gifts.
abilities. Yeah. So, I gotta change. I'm losing my battery.
We still have you though. We have a smiley face in the daytime. Same porch.
Yep.
Yeah.
There we go.
My favorite spot. Yeah.
So all in all, I think it's a pretty groundbreaking study, and that's so cool that you guys got to participate in it.
I got to go to phase 1, and then they knocked me out. They're like, she's hugging Grays. We don't believe her. Delete. I'm gone. But at least I'm in the beginning part. I'm in like the 600 questions that were so hard to answer because it was multiple choice.
Do you think that's where that one, do they let you know where that figure comes from? So that 51% of physical and non-physical, is that from the first study, the first group?
No, they don't tell you. It's in the beginning of the book when they're talking about the first phase. So put 2 and 2 together, you figure, okay, that's from the first part of the 600 questions that were all multiple choice.
All right.
And then it goes into 25% saw they were operated on tables. It was not painful. It was scary, but not painful. And they saw hybrids. 18% had hybrid children. 25% saw them. 40% came back with marks. 49% thought it was physical and mental, and 51% said it was all mental, that they had no physical contact. So I think there's multiple kinds of contact going on. I don't think, just like how humans, we're the same because we're human, but we're different because of our personalities. I think there's a lot of different kind of contact going on here.
Well, one of the things I thought I would present to you guys and see what you think about this, because I was watching Leak Project, I don't know, maybe a couple of months ago with Rex, and he had on Cliff High. Now, are you guys familiar with Cliff High and the Wetbots guy? Okay, so I enjoy watching him. He seems like a smart guy. I don't always agree with him, but I love his point of view, right? So he's on there, and he's got some kind of algorithm that sort of helps him predict trends in the future from internet activity or something. I'm probably like really, messing this up, but I'm just kind of paraphrasing. So he'll get on there and present his findings for the next quarter or whatever. So this last time he's like talking about 5G and how like there was this alien race living among us, like sort of sleeper cells, right? And that they were waiting to be activated and all this stuff. And he gets to the end of this whole kind of fearful story, right? And I'm like, wait a minute. He just completely described the starseeds from the opposite point of view with a negative tilt on it. So everything he explained fit all these people that feel like they're starseeds waiting to activate and help change the planet, right?
Oh, yeah, like the event.
But from the other side. So he's looking at this, and I was like trying to like kind of flip it around in my mind.
5G. There's
Exactly.
a coincidence.
I've been saying that like for years.
Yeah, because it was on that Q map or whatever that was going around. They got this little pyramid, and it has 5G and 5D, and it shows it's like two paths.
My point about the difference was with the 5G, they're always like, oh, it's going to cause this. And, they show the people all like, whoa. Okay. But my point is that could it be that people are experiencing symptoms of 5D, like ascending into 5D or whatever, and they're trying to say, oh, this is bad. It's coming from 5G technology, and all your headaches and your ear ringing and your,
Yeah, like it's happening from cosmic rays and the Schumann resonance and the scattered magnetic shield, and they're going, oh, those are 5G symptoms.
That's what I think is going on. It's just me.
It's kind of like CERN created the Mandela effect, but people have been Mandela affected since 1990s.
See, they keep taking credit. They can keep control. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
They take credit for it.
Well, it's
Who
fearful,
knows?
That's
true.
If you can spin something and make it fearful, then people, buy into it and watch it more than if you say, oh, I'm here for love and light. They're like, oh, boring.
Eileen knows about that because her video, huh?
Yeah. And I never put that together with 5G, 5D. And that the starseed are being activated now to really kind of heal people, send out love, tell them it's calm, it's peaceful, go with it. You know,
but when you flip it around, it sounds like we're invaders.
Yes. And if we are like those space shrimp, like some of us have come down here to kind of ease the way. Well, that means that we're here, but are we from here? I don't know.
Well, I know I'm not. I know I'm not
Right.
a karmic human. I know I've never been, I don't have any past lives here. And, you know, a lot, they say that a lot of the starseed people, the alien people, they may have here and there, but basically they're more foreign souls than earthbound souls.
Yep.
So, you know, if you want to put a fearful spin on it, it's like a soul takeover. No, we're just, I think, you know, I think some of us are here to help others of us, and that, you know, that's the waves. Because Dolores never talked about the first wave. Like, what is the first wave doing? It was this first wave. Somebody had to like break the ice.
Yeah, they were the trailblazers, I think she
Yeah,
called
I
them.
like
think she
I
mentioned them after World War II or right before. They were the hippies, the first ones who
like,
came
yeah,
down with peace and love.
your
Yeah, but they were the
parents were
trailblazers
very
and they had the hardest.
open-minded. Yeah,
Yeah.
they made an acceptable space for Eileen and her sister, you know, where they were free to expand their consciousness. And
Exactly.
Yeah, because I grew up in the 70s and there was Brad Steiger and Whitley Strieber and the Spock guy doing that series. It was really popular. Space stuff was popular in the 70s.
And
yeah,
just the way you were saying about the auras and the way your mom, like,
Yeah.
you know, that wasn't typical.
No, no. She's like, learn what the colors mean. So she gave me a color therapy book. It didn't even say colors for auras. It said, what does red mean? What does blue mean? What is green? So that was kind of cool.
Yeah.
yeah. So I
And it
was
went away.
I was first wave.
I can do it, and so can Shane if we turn it on, but I don't see auras all the time around people. I just turn it off.
I have to think about it
I
and
have to
feel
think
it and
about it.
sense it.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's not really a visual thing. But, you know, it works. I know it works because me and my daughter both did it. We were both like, hey, what color do you think Zika is? And we're like, and we both agreed, you know. I can't remember what it was now. We did it a long time ago. But we wanted to reach the people and we saw the colors, you know.
Cool.
Even with them not being there, just thinking about them. They're more orange, I think.
That's
or
what
whatever.
Darby can do that too.
Yeah.
So we have a lot of gifts, and maybe that's one of our jobs here too, is to help others turn their gifts on by going,
Yeah.
oh, it's not so odd. Maybe I can do that too. And okay, I'm not going to be ashamed and embarrassed and do it in a closet.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And that's really what it is because it's there and you just don't play with it or just don't realize it. So it's not like, I mean, I think anybody can do it. It's just you don't pay attention, you know? You don't know to pay attention.
Well, I think, wasn't
Yeah.
it also very suppressed though? I mean, we live in a time where you can be religious or not, and I'm talking church going, and you know, and like you were saying before, Shane, where, you know, your perspective was this is either an angel or a demon, you know, it's magic, no, is demonic. So if you perceive that telepathy or seeing auras, anything, any of these things are,
Evil.
yeah, that they're evil in nature, then you're not going to tell other people. You're going to try and shut it down. You're going to drink yourself into a coma, you know. That's
I feel like the last 2,000 years, the authorities, be they religious, government, or even education and science, have been trying to suppress that in humanity.
yeah,
And have been really saying, no, 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 you're not psychic. No, don't follow your gut feeling. You know, you can't see auras. I think that's been really suppressed. And I don't know what was 2,000 years ago, if it was like allowed, encouraged, if it flourished or not, all these talents and gifts.
in early Christianity, they still had a lot of that very active in different societies, but by you know, the start of the Roman Catholic aspect of the church and into the Middle Ages, the Dark Ages, it really, that's when they started like cracking down on witches and
Burning people, torturing them for their gifts. Because you figure all the prophets in the Bible, these are human beings seeing God, seeing angels, talking to God, talking to angels. They would, if you did that now, they'd say you're crazy and lock you up. You know, so why was it okay 2,000 years ago with the biblical prophets, but it's not okay for us today to do this?
Absolutely. And whenever you ask that in church, they'll tell you, well, that ended with the Old Testament. That's when the gifts stopped, and that doesn't happen anymore. Yeah. We didn't need it anymore. Jesus came along and he fulfilled everything, and we're all good now.
We're all good now.
Yeah.
That's a good point. That's a very good point, because a lot of people historically see Jesus as a rebel with the Essenes
Yeah.
and saying, well, he was there to challenge the status quo. Well, how better to do that than to meet all the criteria in the Old Testament for the Messiah, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
it's like, okay, how much of that really happened and how much was staged so that they could change the religion? They could say, hey, this is wrong. No more sacrifice. Not even of animals, you know?
And an important point to make here, too, is we've been kind of focusing on the West because, you know, in the Far East, if somebody's hearing voices, they might end up going on to be like a seer or prophet or a shaman, some type of person that they recognize the gifts in that person.
Yeah, in
Here,
Africa.
you might be locked up in a institution if you're hearing voices. No, you know,
In
quite
South America,
literally,
a
though.
shaman.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yep.
Oh, you're hearing voices, you're special. Let's hook you up with the priest or whoever, you know, can best mentor those gifts and stuff. But it's not like that here. It's like put you on medication, right?
Yeah,
Well, we can make
exactly.
that stop, so you'll be normal.
Right.
We
Should
are-
it be normal?
We are the new normal. We're coming out of our boxes and going, hey guys, this is the new normal. And it's fun and it's creative and it's everything that authority dreads, because you can't control creativity.
Yeah.
You know, you have to keep stuffing it into little boxes.
Well, that's,
You know-
I can't remember where I saw it. It was some kind of news article or something. They were complaining about the new generation of kids, of young people, kid to me, sorry, you young people, but that they're not interested in the pressure, the social pressure to conform as much as our generation was.
So
Eileen.
true.
Yeah, they're freer. So to me, these are the they used to call them the indigo kids, you know.
And then the crystal kids,
Yeah, so
the rainbow kids.
yeah,
Yeah.
they are. They're different. The children now are different.
They're awesome. That's so
Yeah.
awesome. It's like, wow, man, you're like where I was at, gosh.
Yes. Yes.
You're at 20 and you're already open-minded to all of this stuff. You're like, yeah, it's no big deal. You show them the Mandela effect or something. It's like,
Yeah, they're like,
I've seen
oh yeah,
those.
that's normal. That's normal.
Yeah,
That is
That's-
true. My daughter's 19 and all of her friends, because you know, they come in and I'm like, hey, have you seen this? And they're like, oh yeah, I saw that. Yeah, there's more. Have you seen this one?
Like it's no big deal.
It's no big deal.
Yeah. So they're definitely a different breed of human than.
But
and
we were
they're-
the trailblazers. We had to blaze that trail for them.
Yes, we had
Yeah.
to create the space for them, and now they're here, and they're the ones who are going to really change society. I think.
I hope so, because I thought our generation was going to, because I'm
I
a
know.
60s, 70s kid. I
Yeah.
thought that we would have peace on earth, no pollution,
Yeah.
treat animals humanely. That was my picture of the future when I was like 15 to 25. I was like, hey, we're going to change it, but we didn't.
Yeah.
We've improved though in a lot of ways.
Yeah, we've improved a lot of things.
Yeah. I did want to actually mention, because I know, you know, we talk about paranormal stuff and ET contact and all of this stuff. And then Sherry brought up the idea of doing like having a section on the forum where we can talk about out of body experiences and stuff. So I went in and added a couple categories. I thought, man, some people might have experiences they want to share, but maybe they're not quite ready to call in or, you know, go in the chat and start talking. So they can just simply go onto the forum on the website,
Oh.
leave their experience on there, and just type it out. You know, you can add images or video.
And can we
or,
watch it? Can I read the forum of other
Yeah,
people?
and then you can go, yeah, anybody registered. So it's a private place that only registered users can go in there. It's not, you know,
Public.
broadcast to the public. So it's basically for our
Bless you.
users that, you know,
They're
I
like-
really did it for the ECETI thing, for people to connect up that way that want to share a room or a ride or something along those lines.
Oh yeah, I saw your video on that. I'm definitely going to go into the forum. And then I started doing this Wednesday night live,
Mm-hmm.
just dabbling in the live part of YouTube, which is like, you know,
Right.
it's a
But
whole
it
nother
deals
world.
with contact, which is another.
Only contact up
Right.
till ECETI. So if anybody out there wants to come and talk about contact leading up to ECETI, we're all one big fat happy family here. We share all our videos.
Yeah, and it's awesome too.
I want to take Sherry in one suitcase and Ronnie in the other suitcase to ECETI with me.
That'd be awesome.
I would love to go. My husband's already freaking out because I'm talking to people on the internet. Like, look, it was. I don't know if you saw him before, but he came out. I had to mute my phone.
Oh,
Look,
no, didn't even notice.
This is Sherry. This is all good.
I know we all look normal. It's like, hi, just normal, ordinary people here.
Yeah, we're not talking about alien contact, honey.
That would be cool for the people that couldn't make it there. If we could say, all right, go back in your backyards at 8:15. We're gonna have them like zip you guys over to ECETI for like an hour, and then zip you
I
right
just
back.
feel like your sighting is all part of this, Jayne. I got such a strong hit that this, you were meant to see that, you were meant to photograph it for tonight's show, and it's all part of your leading up to ECETI for them to just come and go, here we are,
Yeah.
Jayne, right above
In
your
the
house.
meditation circle, yeah.
But I
We're
mean, the one
supposed
that
to
you
have a-
got, the one that you showed us
Yeah.
today.
Yeah, very cool. I
Very
was so excited to get it. And, you know, there was so much commotion going on when I got it. There was this, like, these people over here yelling, these other people trying to come, and they're like, are they going to fight? And then there was this accident. The car comes around the corner, and they hit the front end.
What?
They just barely hit.
Because of the UFO?
No. They weren't even, no. Everybody had their own thing going on, and I'm trying to film this. That's why I didn't have sound in it, because
Almost
you
like
hear
it
people
was trying to
screaming.
distract you, you know?
Yeah, nothing was distracting me. I was like...
You're like, I don't care what goes on around me. I am getting this UFO. I'll tell you what happens. I've been watching a lot of ball UFO videos and rectangular ones. The birds start flying around like crazy. So just if you ever notice birds flying kind of crazy, really pay attention to the sky and see if you can see a UFO. They seem to feel it or sense it, and they start flying wildly around in the camera.
Yeah, I've had them do that with my drone. Yeah.
They have a very strong magnetic sense, and if the craft are using magnetics,
Exactly.
they would be confused.
Oh, that makes sense. Yeah, because they say it is
like
magnetic.
beaching a well or something. Yeah.
That's
Interesting.
Yeah. Cook on you.
I was just so glad I had my phone and I saw it, and because I'm always looking up, so to see that, I'm like, wait a minute, and
You're
yeah,
meant
it
to
was
see
awesome.
that, definitely.
Yeah.
And it's like they stopped for you, because when I saw them, they were just flying around like birds. Like, wow, what are you guys doing so high up in the sky? And then they came lower and lower and lower and then shot off in opposite directions. Yours is just standing there going, Shane, can you see us? We're stationary.
Yeah, it was really exciting.
Well,
Yeah, and I looked down, I looked back up, and it was gone. So I don't know if it just floated out, if I could find it again, or if it zipped off. And
What you
I
got
missed
was
something cool.
perfect.
Yeah, I'm
it
happy
was
with what I got.
really nice.
And Jayne at the same time, and probably the same kind of thing. But sometimes it looks silver, sometimes it looks white, and I've seen it black, like you did, like what you caught.
Yeah, and of course Sherry saw it where it was glowing, and people have seen them
Yeah,
where they're
that
actually
was
luminescent.
That was a different kind of entity.
Like
as
a spirit
opposed to
guide
metal
inside
ball.
of a...
Yeah.
Yeah.
Totally. All right, well, shoot, this has gone really fast. We're already at 1 hour and 42 minutes.
Dang.
Wow.
Seemed like a little over an hour. That's crazy. Thank you guys for hanging out and
Talk
sticking around with
contact
us.
all day, every day.
Absolutely. So, yeah, you've got your show Wednesdays.
Yeah, Michelle's Opinions is going to come on. What's really interesting is that she and I not only both had an NDE, mine was 17, she was, I think, in her 20s, but I disappeared as a child, and she disappeared as a child. I never told anybody that story, but I'll do it on Wednesday. It's when I got stuck in a giant mud puddle in a cemetery. So the whole town, the police, everybody was out looking for me, and she sends me an email going, oh, yeah, I disappeared once, and the police were looking for me, and I turned up here, and I'm like, wow, coincidence, synchronicity. And then Dawn from Pretty Dark is going to come on the next Wednesday. So we're going to get to hear from people that we never heard from before.
Very nice.
And I hope she brings her artwork, because I've been looking on Instagram, and Dawn Pretty Dark's artwork is amazing.
Awesome.
Mm-hmm.
Same time as our show, 8 p.m. on Wednesdays leading up to ECETI. And then I think I'll take a break from it. Yeah.
Awesome.
You'll even
That's
get to
perfect.
chat with Shane in the comments, maybe, if you turn up
Yeah.
again. I was like,
I'll
it's
come
like
out.
having a celebrity in the house. He pops in the comments and everyone's like, Shane, what are you doing here?
Yeah, I'll wait to the end and stuff because I'm usually watching it or driving or something. But yeah, I'll hop in and say hello.
Up till ECETI, and that's an opportunity. I'm only talking to people in our community. I'm not talking to people outside of our community. We are a family, and we want to hear from each other, what our experiences are. So maybe after that, I'll do like an OBE series and then maybe an NDE series and get people who want to share these things, but they're a little bit shy.
Yeah.
Maybe they'll, when they see their friends coming out to talk about it, maybe they'll like want to come forward and talk about it.
Yeah, or they can really dip their toe in the water and tell their story on the forum and get some feedback that way.
Yeah,
And,
I'm definitely going on
know,
there for sure.
yeah.
Yeah, I thought you could do like UFO experiences, dreams, out of body experiences, ascension symptoms, and it'll be cool.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and categorize them so we can go in and leave our little stories under different categories.
Yeah, I can mod you guys, and you guys can help with the categories because I kind of put miscellaneous, paranormal, extraterrestrial contact, so it can get broken down a little bit more, as
If you
people
go
get on there.
if you go to spiritualforum.com, there's an example of like how that can grow out over many, many years, because you ought to see that thing. That guy died, and he died young. They're still running it. And like if I had a question about something that happened to me, I would go there and I could find like the history on it and find people that went through it or whatever.
Oh, that's interesting. Cool.
Maybe we can add a Mandela effect forum on
Yeah.
YouTube.
Oh, I did that too. Yeah, I added a Mandela effect
Awesome.
thread. So yeah, people can put their personal ones or their general ones or whatever. So yeah.
Oh, cool.
Definitely. Well, awesome. Thank you so much, everybody, for coming on and sharing your story and everything.
Thank you for having us.
I
love you guys.
Do nothing sitting here by myself.
You're like the Brady Bunch. Everybody who was that at the show? They ended. They all flew at the same time. Yeah.
We're like that show, People of Earth. We should come together and do this again sometime.
Absolutely.
It was a lot of fun. Thank you very much, everybody.
Thank you. Lots of love and light to you guys in the chat, and we'll see you on the next one. Have a good one. If you'd like to support the work I do, go to paypal.me/UOTF. Thanks.